Hi, I'm Morven, and today on Not Serious Wine Chats, Pete, John and I chew the fat with Bex and Dariush from Cazador Restaurant in Delhi. I've had the privilege of calling these two pals for a number of years now, and it was a special treat to get them in the hot seat to hear how hospo life brought them together. First as teenagers and friends, and then on to lovers, restaurant co-owners, and the proud parents of two terrific little kiddos. Cazador Restaurant opened its doors in Tāmaki Makaurau in 1987. The vision of Dariush's parents, Tony and Barbara, this joint became the go-to for lucky locals living down one end of Dominion Road. From day one, Cazador established itself as a place that delivers nose-to-tail dining based on the respectful pursuit of hunting that Tony himself enjoyed and something that he would pass on to Dariush. After 25 years, having established Cazador as a trusted place to enjoy a plate or two, Tony and Barbara were keen to step away from the restaurant. Now, a family biz can be a difficult buzz. Retaining the dreams and aspirations of one generation while trying to put your own stamp on the place can be a lot of pressure, especially when there's quarter of a century of existing vibes that might be perceived as somewhat sacred and untouchable. During this chat, Bex and Dariush explain how time spent living and working in Italy, Greece, London and New York led to a deep appreciation of how important that legacy is and what an enormous gift it might be, so long as they don't fuck it up. This chat covers wine, sherry and mezcal. We work our way through a platter of tin treats and terrine. We scoff our faces with rabbit rillette and stickleback on sourdough, and we wash it all down with a deliciously salty Spanish wine that Bex delights in serving in the restaurant. This chinwag covers the challenges of honouring the past while honing a vision for the future. We talk about how important the customer is and how at Cazador they're not serving food, they're serving people, and how important it is to invite the customer on the journey rather than ram it down their throat. I didn't realise it, but I first met these two right as they were starting their journey as the next gen of Cazador. I learned for the first time how that wasn't an easy period, and that the lessons being learned were mammoth. It's the professional acumen of these two that I had absolutely no idea of the challenges in front of them. And all I saw was an incredible young couple utterly nailing it, delivering the good times. And when I say good times, I mean deeply considered dishes that took me from my comfort zone that were perfectly paired with a wine selection that blew my fuse. And all of that was conveyed with an approachable and casual style that cleverly disguised an extreme expertise in dining service. These two have taken out a number of awards for Cazador, as has the team they've nurtured within the 1970s stucco walls of this now iconic establishment. Not content with sitting back and revelling in the accolades, they knocked out the front windows of the building and opened to Delhi. And have I mentioned yet that they also host personally guided food tours of Mexico? Well, you'll hear about that as well. It's all enough to make you feel very inadequate, or at the very least, like you're a lazy bastard. Especially when you realise they've just opened a new venture on Ponsonby Road called San Ray. It's the best. You need to go. But really, will these two quit already? Not likely. And thank goodness for that. So, pop on your finest hunting tweeds, grab your gumboots, and get ready to sip spirits from a hip flask in the Mai Mai. This is the Not Serious Bex Smidt and Dariush Lolaiy chat. Now that we've got you seated comfortably, tell us about the wine, Bex. Right. What are we drinking tonight?
Drinking a Palomino.
Yep. Oh, fantastic.
Mm-hmm. But unfortified.
Unfortified Palomino. Uh-huh. What does that actually mean?
So Palomino is the grape.
Yeah.
And it's from Jerez in the south of Spain.
Yeah.
And you'll more typically find it as the dominant grape in sherry.
Uh-huh.
But in this instance, we have it unfortified.
Yeah.
And beautiful. It's one of my favourite grapes. You were saying before we came in, something about chalk.
Right.
And soil.
Yeah.
We gravitate towards it so much, whether it's...
Interesting.
Yeah. Champagne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether it's sherry, Palomino.
Yeah.
Burgundy.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just got...
Yeah, it's the root of all the goodies, isn't it?
It is, well, for us. And it just, when we think about our cuisine and our menu, it just pulls us in.
Yeah.
And it's sort of centered our taste in wine.
Yeah.
Of course, there's more to wine, but I never, think about the Jura as well. There's salinity in those wines. It's just magnetic to me. So That's what we have here. This is from a...
So when you say unfortified, you mean it's just made like a normal wine?
Yeah. It's just so, well, yeah, like a normal wine. I think it's probably,
Gracias.
Nada. It's, people who enjoy a natural wine would feel really comfortable with this because it sits in Manzanilla casks. It's rested on lees. And it has that real...
Sorry.
I can talk and stretch my arm across the table. It has that sort of energy and tension that you find in sherry.
Yeah. It smells very, like, aromatically.
There's so much of that floor.
Yeah, that smells delicious. It looks delicious, beautiful,
aroma.
golden.
A really quite
colour.
polarizing oxidative quality, which I love. But I know that it can be definitely a challenge.
Maybe
but you
that's
already
it,
know that's going to be such a mouthful.
Yeah. But
absolutely
maybe
delicious.
that's the appealing thing is that, like, I don't know, it's got food characteristics to it in the sense that it's like got real umami to it because it's oxidized. Maybe that's what draws me into sherries in general. I mean, I know that when I first tried a sherry, it was the fact that it was probably a chef's response that it went from, it was a, what was it? It was a cream sherry, I think.
It was a Matusalem.
Matusalem, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so it went from kind of not PX sweet, but sweet, and then it changed to salty, and that blew my mind. And that's when I was like,
came running home like a little boy. They just found this.
Yeah.
So, you know,
thing.
How old are you?
7. No, I'm kidding.
27.
I was
27.
No, younger, mid-20s anyway, yeah.
It was with Jose, right?
Yeah.
26.
My restaurant was bought by a Spanishman and his other restaurants. And
So whereabouts? Hold on.
yeah, probably jumping a few steps here.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Where are you?
In London.
Yep.
And Jose Pizarro bought our restaurant and wanted to keep us on, a number of us.
Amazing.
And and so I was there for setting up his new restaurant on our site. And part of that was being there while suppliers tried to woo him with food and wine and stuff like that. And
Wow, imagine that.
oh my God. I'd never tried sherry before, and there were probably 80 or 90 bottles opened in 3-4 days. And so I wasn't there for most of the tastings, but we went down into the basement and they were, 2 glasses poured out of sherry glasses poured out of every bottle. And he said, take what you like. So
No way.
I just walked through just grabbing stuff that looked cool. And
The thing with sherry here, right, in New Zealand is historically or traditionally it's had such bad rap, right? Because it's the warm,
Well, we
creamy
grew
stuff.
a lot of Palomino in New Zealand. That's in Henderson.
We what?
We grew Palomino in Henderson.
But it hasn't developed it hasn't given us an understanding for the varietal or the actual finished product, has it? Because I mean maybe it's my own personal reference, but sherry was like speaking for sort of I think a lot of my mates, it's like the warm stuff that Granny had in the cupboard, which was served in a thimble.
Yeah, I think it's been misappropriated, and I think some of those grandmothers have a bit to answer for.
Yeah,
but
I reckon.
I think
Good luck with that.
you could write a stern letter to them.
there's a tradition, though. I think that we just missed. I think a lot of things that come to cultural cuisine or beverage, things that come to New Zealand do get misinterpreted and then maybe later on reborn with their own unique spirit. I mean, the areas up here, Bellbird Springs areas, that's just an incredible example.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Of a nod to sherry, not using Palomino, using Pinot Gris, right?
That's
Pinot Gris.
Yeah.
That's
so
right.
cool.
But with all of that flora and that oxidation and that sort of wild character that comes with sherry, but it's very niche.
Yeah.
But wasn't it built for transport?
Yeah, it was a practical solution was to fortify the wine.
Yeah, and so in England, I'm sure it wasn't being treated with, the same respect, like it was let to get warm in Granny's cupboard in England as well.
I think, temperatures challenged wine drinkers, and not just with sherry, but across the board. Yeah. Temperature is one of those things that confuse people, and same with how long you might keep a wine for.
Also, don't you think with sherry, we've had this, it's a Kiwi thing, right? We're not a wine and food culture. Historically, are we getting there? But I think what makes sherry so mind-blowingly absolutely delicious, and sort of anybody who's into having a beautiful experience with food and wine, or food and a beverage, when they find sherry and understand what it does to the enzymes and the savoury palate, it's like, Christ, this stuff's insane.
You've just got to add the food. I think that's the thing. Like,
but it goes beyond that as well. Like that's part of it. It's context as a whole, but food is a massive part of it for sure. The other is like, I think the last sherry I got into was a Fino, or the Fino style. I knew I wanted to like it, and I knew it was something I was gonna like, but it took me a long time of pretending that I liked it. And and the final thing that got me over the line was being in Spain and it being hot, and that was it. That's what, when it was hot and humid at different times, or dry heat, and then you just sip a cool, refreshing, briny, salty sherry. It suddenly makes sense, and then that memory, that that association with heat and being refreshed was enough to carry it through, even on a reasonably cold night in Auckland. I can still go back there, and I like it.
But I think when you're in Spain, you would have had a little something on the side,
for sure. Olives or whatever.
Just something, some nuts,
and not just any olives. Manzanilla olives or something. Really mind-blowing.
And that's kind of what we've got set up here. So Pete's just handed me a delicious piece of bread with the terrine on it. Remind me again of what the terrine is again, Dash. What?
Goat, fig, and whiskey.
Yeah, which is delicious. And with that particular wine, we're calling it a wine. It's not a sherry. It is a wine.
It's a wine.
It is a wine.
It's a wine. But most bodegas do produce wine.
Yeah.
Not all, but many of the sherry bodegas also produce a wine, and vermouth and a brandy.
Right. Yeah. And so this is sort of the Cazador way. So what we're eating is the terrine, but also too, we've got a couple of nice tinned goodies there, which I know you guys have got in the deli. And so let's backtrack a little bit. So Cazador opened its doors in 1986. 87. Shit. Balls. Yeah. It's a bit of an institution, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It is that way.
And so that was the oldies?
Yep, it was Mum and Dad. They started it when I was 5, and I spent, Fridays and Saturday nights either upstairs or later out the back in the office, or often just under the pass watching service. Stealing little bottles of ginger ale and Coke, playing Monopoly, that kind of thing,
Insane.
Yeah.
And has it always had, because obviously the Cazador we know today, I've got a mouthful of terrine.
You're not going to get much out of me.
No, I know, that's right. It's fair enough. It's quite hard to record and eat and drink all this yummy food at the same time. But so the Cazador we know today is obviously sort of established with the game sort of approach, the sort of the wild game approach. Like, did Tony and Barbara have that kind of, like, was that from day one that was sort of part of the philosophy?
Yeah, so Cazador, a Spanish word, means hunter. My dad's a hunter. My mum grew up in Mexico, Kiwi that grew up in Mexico, so hence the name and hence the niche. My dad's also, he's from Iran, so then there was the Middle Eastern thread, through the whole thing as well. So Middle Eastern game restaurant, Auckland, late 80s. Very, very weird. It was either going to do really well or really badly, and
it has covered a few bases there, hasn't it?
Yeah. But they knew how to throw a good party and knew how to cook and host and it was at a time that was BYO wine and smoking inside and stuff like that. So it was a great venue for a party on a Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, totally.
And then it's sort of it's sort of endured and then Bex and I met there as teenagers.
How did that happen? What was the story there?
Really?
Yeah.
I
mean, you don't look a day over being a teenager, quite frankly, Dariush.
I was really good at washing dishes, and she was really impressed. She was front of house. It was either that or the track pants. I don't know.
It wasn't the track pants. Yeah, I got a job at Cazador when I was at uni.
Yeah.
Studying the history of art and, broadening my mind. And I was saving up to go to Italy on a study abroad trip. So I was doing nights at the restaurant. And
sorry, did you say what you were studying?
Just the history of art.
Oh, yeah.
And Italian studies and a few other, dabbled in law and then found, culture. So
Yeah.
But yeah, we got on well. We were friends, and there were a few maybe late nights in that
vibrant smoky restaurant.
No, down when the clubs used to be open late, and this was early 2000s dance scene. It was just so great. We'd finish up at work, and the tables used to leave liquid tips. Which was
those good old days.
Yeah. So, grab a few bottles and head to Midnight Express on, do you remember that Midnight Express on Victoria Street?
It's before my time. I didn't arrive here.
It was forever. It was like our vintage, Cazador vintage, but they didn't survive the terrible roadworks and destruction that's happening to the city right now. So anyway, it was great fun. And then we would go out to Foo Bar and dance until the morning.
Oh, get out.
It was great. And then do service again on Saturday night.
As you do. Those good old days.
Yeah.
When you're just past being a teenager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, we were friends, but we didn't. It took a few years for us to get more serious. In fact, I'd already bought my ticket to Italy by then. I'd been on the study abroad trip, come back, decided I wanted to live there. And so went back to Cazador to keep earning cash to save up and go. But that is when Dariush finally decided that he was keen, but it was too late.
Oh, you'd bug it off. You'd already,
I bought my ticket,
got the passport, I'm out of here.
Probably 10 or 11 months before you actually left.
Yeah.
Enough for us to stay together while you're away and just see what happens. And then
enough for Dariush to want to pursue Italian cooking. And so, he came to Italy.
Amazing.
Yeah, after a little while after I'd left, and then we lived there for a year, and then we
whereabouts in Italy?
In Milano.
Oh yeah, amazing.
Absolutely.
Oh, I see.
God, it was so great. As you're young and you've just left Auckland, and this great city
from early 2000s Auckland into Milan. That's quite a thing. That's quite a landing.
Just so great. And Dariush was cooking in a cool hotel and getting training from
it was a definite time machine, which actually was probably pretty comfortable because Cazador was of a certain vintage, but this one went 20 years back, so it was 1970s style banquet dining in Italy. It was like
And did you speak Italian? Did you?
So I for the 6 months since Bex left, I learnt it via, it wasn't quite online lessons.
With a background of Spanish, you pick it up quite quickly. You were definitely, you had a head start.
I was able to go to look for a job. I was able to go around and cold call people in person with enough Italian to get the point across, but not enough to be able to handle second interview type stuff. So I was just sort of Hail Marying it. And I actually managed to pull that off after 45 or so visits to different places.
Which is amazing.
Just pitching, hi, with my limited Italian, I can, I'm from New Zealand, but I can cook Italian food, believe me. Willing to take a punt?
Yeah.
Do you like the All Blacks? That was actually how I got the job.
And they probably would, right? Because they're rugby mad, right?
Rugby mad in Milan, especially. Yeah.
That's
but
right.
there was a real big unit of a chef, and he was like, All Blacks. Okay, I'll give you a go. It's like I should have put that on my CV to start.
Yeah.
I know.
Were you wearing Doug Howlett sunglasses?
Yeah.
Would you say what? Say that again.
The All Blacks used to come to Cazador quite a lot in that time period when we were working there as kids. And I think Doug Howlett left his really cool sunglasses there one night. And I think Dariush might have.
Oh, I called him and he said, "Oh, thanks, yeah," and then
Like
never
6
picked
months
them
later.
up. So they were mine.
They got a lot of free shit back then.
Yeah.
You know, let's face it.
If he needs them, I think they're still
I've still got them, yeah.
It's hilarious.
They endured, not like as a totem or something, but it was like,
you should put them on one of the stag heads that's in the restaurant.
oh my gosh, yeah, they're mirrored silhouette aviators. So they're like wire frames, so they're just like they're just floating lenses, which are actually
quite cool.
All right.
Oh, yeah,
you can swim in them.
Catch
I mean,
tested and proven clearly by the sound of it.
in Thailand wearing them.
Oh, they've seen some action then. Those glasses have done some
Yeah,
travel.
we skipped the Thailand bit, didn't we?
Yeah.
Classic. So Dariush had other girlfriends.
Oh.
Plural. I went there on holiday.
Also, hold on a minute. Yeah, how does that even work?
Look.
Thanks, Pete.
Get on
It
a
wasn't
plane,
there was, we
Pete's
were
loading me out with goodies.
As I say, it wasn't until we, it was later on in our friendship that we got a bit more serious. And then in Italy, that's when we realised, this is on. And so, we stayed in Italy for a year. And then...
And Bex, you speak Italian?
Well, I mean, I used to.
Bueno.
No, you spoke
Okay.
better than
Italian?
me. That's for
No,
sure.
I spoke pretty well.
Yeah.
But, it's been
Yeah.
15 years or longer since we
More
left
than
there.
that,
And
yeah.
I just don't use it. And now it's all jumbled with Spanish because with Dariush's mum speaking Spanish to our kids, it's all a bit confused, but I could probably
Pick it up.
I refuse to think. That's the thing. My whole life I pick up languages really easily because my mum can speak heaps. And I grew up hearing Spanish with her talking to her siblings and us. And but I've never nailed fluency in any language, and it pisses me off so much.
Yeah.
So I got pretty close I got to an intermediate level with Italian, and then started working with Jose later in London, so I started speaking Spanish again, and they just don't mix very well if you're not fluent in one or other. So I just banned myself thinking in Italian.
Yeah, you stopped Italian, whereas I just couldn't quite ever. Like my instinct is to go translate from English to Italian, then to Spanish. And it's far too slow.
Yeah, right.
In a passionate conversation.
Yeah, that's that. And they are passionate, right? That's, there's no, I mean, you don't get shortchanged on the fire when you're talking to the Italians, do you?
So, but we did have to leave Italy in the end because Dariush did not have a right to work there for more than a year. So we did. So we moved to Greece and we ran a little bistro there on a Greek island for about 8 months for the summer season. It was at once incredible and also ridiculous. Like borderline slavery where you're on for 8 months.
7 days a week.
7 days a week.
Wow.
No cover.
No, it was, it's silly, but then it's also one of those things that you do when you're young. And we needed, we needed to get some cash together because our option was go back to New Zealand or get cash and then settle down in London. And we decided that we wanted, to stay. I have a British passport, so Dariush was able to get the, clip onto me and stay in London longer. So we decided to go for that. So did our time in Greece, which was, I wouldn't change it, but I wouldn't necessarily repeat it.
Yeah, totally.
Got a hell of a tan though.
Oh, man. Yeah, we were sun-kissed.
But the thing is, I was just really looking forward to, I felt like we had done pretty well in non-English speaking countries. And I was just looking forward to the acceleration of learning and progress in our jobs in an English speaking country,
Yeah.
Just even, the day-to-day stuff, topping up a transport card in Italy was painful, and just, getting a internet provider or whatever, all of those little things were just such a slog. So
really energy zapping, eh?
Yeah. Great experience. Really got our asses kicked. Yeah. So that was good.
And that way that makes you just appreciate the little successes, like when you've accomplished something in what feels like that adverse climate, when you're young and you haven't got experience yet, you don't speak the language and you're far away from home, and it's all so hard, and then you get there and you've done it, and it's just no one can take that feeling away from you. You just feel so.
The ups and the downs are more extreme, aren't they?
They are, yeah. But you have that little window, which inevitably closed on us when Barbara and Tony called us, I think maybe 4 years into our London life, and said, "Hey guys." Dariush hadn't been straight with them. They sort of misunderstood that he was going on holiday, and it
didn't come home. Classic.
Yeah, so we did have a trip home in between. We came home after 2 years and caught up with the family, and then left again for another few years.
Yeah.
And they said, "Hey guys, it's been coming up 25 years for us.
We're ready."
Yeah, and
it's
it's sort of now or never. And that was a really tough one for us because I'd just been offered a really good promotion in my job, which I couldn't accept, knowing that we'd leave within that sort of 6-month period. It was not right to take that and have them invest in me and then me walk away from that role.
And so what was the role, Bex? What were you doing?
Well, I was working in this great, it wasn't hospo.
Yeah.
I was working in a spatial planning consultancy called Space Syntax. This really cool studio where they worked on different projects of all different scales, from like a really micro environment like the store, for example, and wayfinding in a store and how to orientate people to use that space effectively, all the way through to large scale cities, working with architectural planning for cities, but also regeneration projects in slums. It was just such an exhilarating. I was so lucky to have found that job. We landed in London in 2008 right at the outset of the recession.
Yeah.
And I got made redundant from that job twice.
Oh, no way.
Rehired and fired. And we'd kind of ridden the ride of the recession and got to the other side of it. And we're really sort of getting ourselves settled there. Jose had bought Cazador a few months earlier. Dariush had become the head chef there. He was already working at Jose, which was a little tapas bar on Bermondsey Street where we lived, just down the road there. And he was moving into Cazador, and Dash had that leadership role there, which was, he just could not leave that. So we negotiated a bit of an extension with the parents, but that left me jobless.
Right.
So I moved to New York.
As you do. Yeah, I know.
So all I could do was move to New York.
Yeah, that's just my only option. So I
it's
decided.
It's pretty exotic so far, I have to say. It all
was
sounds
great.
Pretty dreamy.
Wouldn't change. It was the
We're
time
very
of our
good
lives.
at budgeting and stuff. That's the thing.
Yeah,
a lot of our mates got tempted by the excess of London and blew their wages every month
every Friday
or 2 weeks, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But we were hardcore on having a little savings account. So mostly it was spent on travel. So we traveled a hell of a lot and covered a lot of really, places that I've always heard about, because my mum has out-traveled everyone I know, and we got close to rivaling some of her destinations, but it was like, I'd say, hey, we're going to Syria, and she was like, oh yeah, I was in Syria in 1970 something, and you're like,
make sure you pop to that lady and she'll give you a cup of tea.
Just totally wins every time. But anyway, we did a bloody good job going to places that we probably otherwise wouldn't be going to.
Yeah, we circled around, but
we were always good at budgeting. So a lot of the stuff, when we were in Greece, we had no time to spend money. When we were in Italy, we were so broke that I felt guilty spending 60 euro cents on a loaf of bread when Bex wasn't there, because that was blowing the food budget. So, it sounds dreamy, but even in New York, we were
pretty
careful with money. Well,
but again, we just had this, I don't know. When you're young, you don't need a lot, and you can have it like little adventures, and they're so meaningful.
The experience of it all is such a new thing, right? It's such a first timer, so that kind of counts for the value.
Just walking down the street is enough. Like even if you can't go into every bar you see. I mean, I certainly went into a few bars. Don't get me wrong. But, it's just such a rush being in a place like that, and especially on that side of our timeline, we knew our days were numbered, so we knew that we were going home, and we also knew what was waiting for us.
I was going to say, so that formed quite a lot of the travel, knowing that you were coming back to take over Cazador from Tony and Barbara. Did that sort of form a lot of the things that you guys were taking in, or was it almost the opposite, where you were just absorbing
it was absolutely
anything?
No, we were already very focused on what we thought we would bring to Cazador.
It always informed the jobs that I took. I was like, I knew that my time in whatever place we were was going to be limited, so I'd always refer back and go, is this a job where I could learn something or bring something back to Cazador? So I found a tenuous connection with my limited job offers in Italy, but seeing the other end of scale and bringing some of that back, but more accurately, I suppose it was going to a proper London gastropub, before that term got absolutely cookie cutted, but a proper place that the menu changes 3 times a night type place, and small owner operated places were my focus typically. So
I think one of the biggest things about coming from New York to Auckland, because that was by way of San Francisco and Texas, and a little long weekend in Vegas, but we made our way across the States. But then New York was where I'd spent the bulk of that last 5 months, and Dariush came to visit twice. At the end of that, it really resonated with us how important those restaurants with legacy are. And we had no idea how unique Cazador was in that way when we were working there as kids. And nor did we value it at all when we were living in London, because, at that point, it was very much about going to all your friends' restaurants, checking out, that chef has moved there, chase them. Fine dining was kind of getting really exciting. There was a fat duck, and you just put everything into going to those places. And there was a lot of new. I mean, Ottolenghi was setting up. There was Spontino. There was
a lot of that Americana was just starting to come into London. So
it was so exciting, and of course, St. John. But what we didn't really realize was how much group activity was behind a lot of those sites.
Right.
And you sort of only realize that as you step back a bit from it. And how there's a real machine behind that kind of churn in those restaurants. And then in contrast, New York has quite a different dining scene. London was just getting its confidence and kind of claiming its cuisine as the St. John ripple effect happened. But New York has those old Italian neighborhood restaurants, old Greek neighborhood restaurants, of course scattered with these like outrageous new openings of every wild concept you can imagine. But it just clicked there that there's something about a neighborhood restaurant that actually connects to the neighborhood.
And I suppose New York's one of those cities, isn't it? Its beginnings came from sort of, people arriving and sort of sticking into staying in their communities and living
people
in
that don't leave like the 5 blocks of Manhattan where they live,
Chinatown. Chinatown, right? The districts are sort of, very much sort of not segregated, but just by natural delineation natural migration of families and friends.
The neighbourhoods are really distinct. That's
right. That's what I'm trying to say.
They have their own unique identity, and they're also quite guarded about, who can set up shop.
Well, that was really obvious in Italy, the Italian culture is very, very stubborn.
It's mono. They do not allow outside influence, and it's what it's done is it felt really at times quite exclusive, but it's actually preserved their culture.
Well, what it also meant for small business was that you could have on our small street, we had probably 3 fruit and veggie shops and 3 hair salons and 3 gyms, and they all are doing fine. They're all fine. They're not competitors because you would go to one because your grandma goes there and you'd never even consider going to the other one. And that doesn't mean you wouldn't talk to the people or whatever, but you could,
And just such vibrancy in the restaurant and bars and, that same energy that New York has in Milano. Milano's very small and it's walkable.
Yeah.
Everybody goes out every day for a drink. Just, it's not out. It's not.
Yeah.
It's like they're all overindulging in anything. It's just
it's just a social habit.
Yeah, it is.
Cultural
and
social
social
habit.
is the key thing because there's a sense of connectivity with people when you're walking, which is what people do, and then just sitting in the piazza and having an aperitif and a little bite before you go home.
A lot less rest homes there, right?
Yeah.
And also too, that's kind of almost
part of community.
Yeah, and the design of the buildings, right? They were older villages where villages got built next to it. A house was joined to another house. So the houses were smaller. So, in order to be social, you couldn't have 12 of your neighbours over for dinner because there was nowhere in your house to host them.
Yeah,
so therefore,
exactly.
And the same with New York. I mean, when it was like this,
you don't have a kitchen.
The cupboard stuff was real. People were subletting corners of rooms.
Well, that's it. So if you don't have a big kitchen to entertain or entertaining space, you take them to your local bar or restaurant or whatever.
Yeah, and when you know the maitre d' and they know your taste and they welcome you and they nurture your, they comfort you in that way. And I think that really struck a chord with us before we came home. And when we got back to Auckland, we thought we had these grand ideas for Cazador, and we were sort of looking at it and realized, shit, this is actually one of those old places.
Yeah, it's already got it.
We can't undo this. We had these visions for the kind of food and service that we'd like to offer, and we just had to let all of that go because Cazador is not the restaurant for that. Cazador is its own thing. We came to realize quite quickly that we were the custodians of a place that already existed, and you would either be that or just close it and do something different. And that's not what we wanted to do, and certainly not what Dariush's family had imagined for the place. And so we just had to sort of let it guide us. And sometimes we probably didn't listen to what it was saying, and we might have got a few things wrong and taken some missteps. But
do you think that one of the things that worked in your favour with this is that sort of the community of diners was also ready? The Auckland diner was actually ready to find fine dining.
Ready?
Well, not in the first year. No, we did not do well in our first year of business. 2012.
Okay. And sorry, was that always going to be what you did, take over?
I was thinking that when Morv was asking a question along those lines, and I don't know is the answer. I think I must have known, but at the same time, I'd never imagined it past the point of, I guess, the inevitable time that my parents would have to stop working.
Yeah.
And I never even thought about when that would be necessarily. So I don't know. I guess it was always there. And the fact that, like I said, I was choosing jobs based on it felt at the time like a just in case thing rather than a let's do this, right? So weird one. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, either way, I don't know if Auckland was ready. I think at the time there was frustration from certainly my end that maybe Auckland wasn't ready, and just in the way that I think it was really hard to get good ingredients. So all the cooking I had done had been heavily ingredient based, and there wasn't a lot of support for small growers, which was really what the food was based on. Jose sort of said to me, Spanish food or cooking in general is easy. You just have to get really good ingredients, do nothing to them, and cook them perfectly.
Yeah,
which
totally.
I love that last line because that's just so loaded.
Totally.
It's easy, just don't fuck up.
Yeah, totally.
But you couldn't even do that here because you were starting with something that wasn't designed to be on a plate straight away. So, in its natural form necessarily. So there was a bit of work there, but in the scale of things, it didn't take long. There were small suppliers out there. It took a bit of finding, and again, I was used to being in London where people come to you rather than you go to them. So that was just my own getting my own sort of head figured out. And then I guess there were a couple of times that we put dishes on the menu, and one in particular that was just really simple food. It was very I guess it had a very St. John sort of element to it, in the sense that it was really bold, aggressive flavors. So it was, a tin of anchovies blended up with a bit of oil, and then that was the dressing for some endive, bitter leaves.
Yeah.
And then it had this big fatty grilled pork chop with it, which was amazing.
Yeah.
And
that sounds great.
Oh, it was delicious.
Well, now
so it was
that
two
would
things on the
sell-
plate,
That would be your best seller on the menu.
we took it off the menu because people were like, oh, that was salty or bitter or whatever. And, fair enough as well. You've got to be ready for something like that. And we didn't consider context maybe or something. I don't know. But we took it off the menu. And then a year later, when we were probably a bit more confident as well, we put it back on, and things had changed. There was a lot going on. Then we sort of had built a different customer base slightly, and then it was the dish that got written about in all sorts of magazines, and we had photos of that dish, and it was like just the celebration for that dish, how people got excited for it. I just thought it was so interesting that a year ago it had been rejected, but that was actually really motivating, because it was just like, oh sweet, it all works. It's just, you just got to take it a bit slower, and think a little bit differently, and just sort of guide people rather than just don't just tell them what it is, just help them get there,
but also, stay true to what you want to do, I guess.
Yeah. So I think the point is that what we want to do is it's not just about us. I think was what I learned from that, was that, it's not about what we want to cook or what we want to eat. Yes, we can help guide it, but I think you've got to let the customer lead to some degree, you've got to earn the trust. You've got to cook for other people.
Earning the trust. And we didn't have that credit. In fact,
True.
We kind of came in probably a bit hot.
Yeah, true.
And the parents had these amazing relationships with people that now we have earned the privilege of those relationships. But I don't think we necessarily arrived with that respect that we now appreciate is so important. I think we came in excited, and
we've just come home from seeing all these things.
Imagine, get ready.
We're going to whip this thing into shape.
And I think, and we definitely were made aware pretty quickly that we were out of step with the clientele. But, it's funny, every now and then we still look through the old handwritten reservation books, and every one of them we've seen them all again.
That's amazing.
It's so
I had
incredible.
somebody last week say, come up to the pass, which is, you have to be fully intentional to come up to the pass and talk to the chefs. And they said, last time I was in, your father was running it. This was fantastic. But, that's one thing to say, but that was 12 years. It took 12 years to come back, but they came back. That's awesome.
Which is amazing.
It is amazing. And in that 12 years, the proliferation of restaurants across Auckland, not to mention the 35 odd of Cazador, and the fact that it just blows my mind that people still seek it out.
Yeah.
And that is that it's such a, it's so humbling and you've got to learn to really appreciate that. That is a gift.
But I certainly know that when my first exposure to you guys was, I was a rep selling something to you. So it was, I guess I had the luxury of being able to sort of come in on a work thing and kind of just experience it without the stress of, having made the decision to come and dine there. It was like, these are my customers, I'm going to look after these guys. And probably, to be fair, you'd already started to earn the stripes, maybe. I can't quite remember when we first, maybe, I can see.
It would have been early on, very early on.
I know, it was year 2, I think, for us.
Yeah, that's right. It was early days. But I do remember, because, the confrontation, and this is obviously something that you guys have probably battled with a bit, is the sort of the offal restaurant, it's that game restaurant that serves tongue and but and that I found that daunting. That was kind of like, I don't know if I'm going to cope with this.
Is that really what you guys get pulled up on a bit?
We definitely came out of that, that was the thing, coming back from the UK, where again it was, definitely you referred to it as the St. John ripple, Fergus Henderson, that St. John went way back and just
nose to
tail, exactly. And then all of his chefs spread out just as I was getting there. So I worked under, some of his top brass, and then that just gets instilled in you. But what it was for me, it was just saying that actually the stuff my dad's been doing this whole time is actually, what these people are celebrating. My dad's...
And he had been doing it the whole time,
exactly,
right? Yeah.
Exactly. So he'd been, because he's a hunter, and as an 8-year-old, I got my first gun, and I went hunting, at a really young age, and saw, took the life of a large animal that's like a massive, or even small animals, massive weight for a little kid to carry. But a really important one, and right off the bat, the last thing I would want to do is waste anything that animal gave us, and so we always, ate offal and served offal and all of that, and I'm not saying it's not difficult. Sometimes I'm like, oh, kidney, okay, yep, let's do it. And every time I do, I'm like, thank God, that's so damn good, but it's still like, you've got to mind over matter at sometimes, and sometimes you're just not up for it. But
I think maybe that lesson that you guys learnt with the anchovies and endive,
yes,
is what I experienced very much with the conversation around offal and the experience of the nose to tail dining, and even the game experience of Cazador. Because you guys, right from my experience of Cazador, I was brought on the journey with you guys. There's a level of service, and I don't know if this is something that you guys are aware of. I know it's a cognitive thing. I know that it's not by accident. I know that that's a plan, but how much of it sort of already existed at Cazador, given the fact that the restaurant had been going for so long already. There was obviously that sort of established, and serving all of that food. So it kind of like there's an established trust and hand-holding with the clientele that go there. And that certainly, because it was before you guys did the reno, I remember sort of sitting at, you had that real cute little bar, that crazy wee corner bar that was like this kind of real tight cubby hole that you'd go in and sit in. And you straight away felt like, man, I am sort of teleported back into some kind of different time and place. And which felt really unique, and there's nowhere else in the city that feels like this, and that immediately translates to, and I'm getting experience around tasting some beautiful wines that I don't know anything about, and I'd come from, I think I was at Antipodes Water by that stage, so I'd done my dash as being a wine rep, and I was getting exposure, the front of house, back of house cohesion was really evident right from the beginning, but in a way that wasn't cerebral. It just was really natural.
Right.
And whether that's been a Cazador, that's in the genes of the restaurant, I don't know.
I think it is. I think it's all we know.
It's not something you can emulate or just start. It has to come from...
I think it's interesting because we have as we're getting bigger now, we have to teach all of our staff that is what we are, and obviously a lot of them, you see it and you know it and you experience it, but it's still something that's mentioned in all of my back of house hirings anyway, is that, like, here we're about the customer. So if front of house asks you for something that's annoying, weird, or really abrupt, just do it and trust that they're doing their job for the customer who you are working for. And that's really all I need to say, and that happens 3 times a night, so it's very quick to suddenly go, okay, sweet, this is how we operate as a kitchen.
It's not for everybody. It's not for every chef, and we understand that. Like, some places are more chef led, but
so I guess it came very naturally, and we work well together, Bex and I, but it is something that we have to keep working on and training people on, which is interesting. It doesn't seem too difficult, like I say. You've got enough people leading by example around you, but it's interesting.
You just have to really, I think it comes back to, again, it's just like, we have to appreciate our guests.
Yeah.
And if you start with that as your focus, focus isn't actually on making the food you'd necessarily want to make that day, or sometimes there's this jostle and compromise that I think pulls both of us and the guests in the right direction. It's allowing us to keep reinventing ourselves, but not ever lose, the rudder is stable, the course is set, but we do it, like we kind of pull one another along, and we've got it a few times where, we've been at a pace where the guests and the community hasn't quite been with us, and we've had to kind of pull back a little bit, and then we sense that the time is right, and so it's ready to introduce what we've been brewing in the background for a while, what we'd like to show people, and
which is quite a nice segue into 2020 and the Cazador Deli.
Yeah.
So talk me through how you, how did the oldies, because obviously, this is your restaurant now. They've handed it over. It's your restaurant. You're the ones taking the financial risk. You're the ones taking the reputation risk. And I think I remember it was right on lockdown. You guys had just knocked a window out to start renovations on the deli, which
it was such a bummer. There was the big one, the first one, when everything was very fresh and what was happening, we don't know. March 2020, and our builders had started the remodel, so the restaurant was being reconfigured, but it was still open because where the deli is now was sectioned off, so we could still operate the restaurant in the evenings with no disruption. But then that lockdown happened, and so the whole frontage was covered in ply. It just looked awful, and it stayed that way for 4 months as the work stopped, and it was so scary because when we finally moved levels, we moved back to 3, and we could have the people, you could do the takeaway thing, the contactless thing. So in that downtime, we'd actually used it to kind of digitize the deli, which we had no intention of ever doing. That was not going to be, it was supposed to be a neighborhood delicatessen with coffee and charcuterie and cheese. But we used that downtime with the help of some wonderful, generous friends with better IT skills than us. Shout out to Bobby and Court. They helped us set up the online profile for the store, and that's how it launched, which suited that time frame, that time period really well. That little minute we all had there of desperately, furiously buying
completely
ourselves treats on
your business.
Yeah. It was the same for us, and it was a captive audience because they had nothing else to do.
It was exhilarating. We had this notification on our phone when somebody bought something, and we were like, every time, like, oh my gosh,
it's working.
The people are there.
Yeah.
We'd go and we'd have this little factory out the back. We were packing all the boxes up, but that's not what our vision for the deli was, and it took us a lot longer than we'd hoped for. It must
have been quite a big decision too, because the way the building is designed, we probably need to explain the architecture, because you effectively halved your restaurant in order to establish the deli.
Well, actually, we restored it to being 2 sites, because prior to the restaurant before Cazador, which was Dubrovnik, it was a fruit shop and a bookshop.
Oh, what do you know?
Yeah. So they'd knocked the walk-through to make the existing restaurant.
Right.
And we simply
sealed it up
again. And so it's well suited to being 2 little sites.
But did having less capacity in the actual restaurant side of things, was that something that I kind of think I know the answer to this, but it'd be interesting to hear your take, because that must be sort of, is this the right thing to do? You're reducing your ability to generate head spend, which is where you make your money as a restaurant, right? So reducing those seats, and you're not the kind of restaurant where you turn tables every.
What we were able to do was provide a necessary intimacy that the previous layout didn't allow for. The architecture previously was really quite confused, and it had never gelled, certainly not with me. When I was managing, there were blind spots that were really tricky to manage, and I didn't like. I love it now how the bar, you can see straight through to the front door, and that sort of single lane for service with the guests either side just allows you to really be present with every table, and I really appreciate that. And we lost 12 seats. Yeah, and
that's a lot.
Well, we gained a deli. So the trade-off was definitely worth
and
it.
I guess an opportunity to have an even greater intimacy with your customers. Your
well,
dining
now we
customers.
have people that we see every day because, it's their
from the deli point of view.
Yeah. So
I think the other thing, I was always jealous of people coming back from Melbourne and saying, I went to this great restaurant and there were like 20 seats and the chef there was weird and he just told me what I was going to eat. And I was like, that sounds awesome. I want to be that weird guy. But this is one step closer to that. We'll revisit it in 10 years. But
the sight lines are better. The staff, it works so well for staff. It's just a better
feels
footprint.
better on a quiet night, But I think the best part is that, and part of this building trust thing with customers as well, is that because it's a small room, not cramped by any means, but if you're sitting there and a customer gets a particular dish or wine or service element or something like that, or the other customers will see it and go, oh, what's that? Oh, you do that? Oh, cool. Okay, let's do this. And
there's a kind of camaraderie that exists among the guests. And I tell you what, after that refit, our sherry sales were quite amazing because there was the ability for guests to be like, why is she standing there and talking to them for so long? And what is in that?
Those 3 small
beautiful
bottles.
Why has she got that bottle in her hand?
Totally.
And it really kind of creates a bit of energy and curiosity, and so it allowed me to move a bit more confidently, I suppose, and I didn't feel like I was imposing this drink I've been banging on about for 10 years. People were more keen to kind of pull me over and say, what is that?
It just makes it like it's less scary to be part of that, right? To step outside of your comfort zone and just like say, do to me what you're doing to them. I want that.
Yeah, and it's
a very New Zealand
customer,
isn't it?
It is, and I think people they enjoy being guided in New Zealand.
God,
I think
it's like, oh my God, the whole reason I'm not at home right now is because I don't want to have to make any decisions and I can't be asked cooking and I want to eat something really yummy and experience something that I haven't thought of to try. I mean, that's kind of the point, right? For a lot of the dining out.
But I think one of the most striking changes in hospitality, and at least at our end in the 12 years that we've been running it, was that change. Like I felt like we saw that change, which was a change from people coming in with an expectation and their job or the way they dine out is that they tell the restaurant how they want to have an experience. And then, there are certain standards that should be at all restaurants, and I'm going to have this and then I'll have this and you'll do it this way. And that was the scene. And then it changed while we were in it to like, you've come to us, trust us, you've chosen us for a reason. So let us show you what we're good at, rather than you try to bend us into a shape that we're not. Let us give you the experience that we are experts at giving. And there was a definite feeling, and I don't know if, I guess it was citywide as well, or countrywide, but it definitely changed the way we were able to do things, like it gave us confidence too. Totally.
That's right. That's
and
right.
trust. I think you earn the trust,
right.
It just takes a while. And I think we were, again, I mentioned that at the beginning, we probably were a bit impatient, but it ultimately came, and then we were rewarded with people being like, okay, we will have the venison heart then. Medium rare, did you say? Rare? Oh gosh, all right. And we'll have it with an Oloroso if you say so.
But I actually think that's where the magic of the wine list and the menu actually is really significant for you guys, because I distinctly remember the first time I had person hearts, which was really outside my comfort zone.
Poussin, that little
baby chickens. And
chickens.
What do you think I said?
That's the person hearts.
They were large.
The off menu.
I had 1.5. It was very filling. That's right. That's
secret menu.
It's like that. What's that? Eat the Rich book or whatever. Anyway. But I do remember because I think it was. Maybe it was they seared in like Italian parsley and speck and
there's
all the other good things.
So sauteed I had sauté the hearts in the pan with pancetta lardons.
Yeah.
And then deglaze. So this was another reason I fell in love with sherry, was as soon as I tried it, I was like, man, we can cook with this.
Yeah.
And the breadth of sherry, the whole rainbow of sherry, you know, from briny to super sweet.
Yeah.
And more exciting for me was the in-betweens. All of that adds its own distinct characteristics to the food. So yeah, deglazed with a fino, and then and sherry vinegar, not in that order. And then you use that to make your salad, so capers and pickled shallots, and then put it all on sort of hot onto the parsley leaves and toss it. And but the fino really still comes through, bright and briny.
And I just remember sort of being the thing that de-escalated the fear factor for me was the fact that I'd had a sherry experience over in Australia, which I know I've moaned on about before, which is a complete life-changing moment for me. So, you know, I was already sort of on board with the sherry thing. But the flavour profile of that dish with that sherry was just like, sweet baby Jesus, this is incredible. And then kind of the understanding of, I mean, we should be eating like this more, like this. This is product that is. Where's this going otherwise? Is this what we're all feeding the dog? Because actually, this is quality, delicious, like mind blowing, simple. I mean, I think that particular night, I can really remember I was sitting in the bar and I was on my own, and it was like, what the fuck am I eating? Because this is insane.
And I was probably lecturing you on the hierarchy of protein and how it needs to be abandoned.
Well, I
sounds like a good lecture.
Yeah, but it was, and I think that's this sort of this lovely simpatico which you guys have developed, and Cazador obviously has had a natural, you know, been a natural kind of place to develop it, I suppose. But that the wine list, the wine and food in particular, this is one restaurant for me where it's not, here's the wine list that we've considered with what the kitchen does. There's this absolute knitting of the two things, which I reckon, you know, it definitely for me is what sets you guys, you know, right up there as being such great. You know,
well, that's really nice, and we have to give credit to our manager Simon Benoit, who he writes the wine list these days. It's been a while since I've had much of a look in there, but he really understands that so well, that synergy that's required, and has really embraced that notion of bringing guests along for a journey, and that there's always we've always wanted to maintain a place of comfort in the list for the people who, you know, have an idea about what they're looking for, but there's so much room to go exploring on that list. You could get
without intimidation, you know,
exactly. That's what's so important to me. I'm really, you know, Simon has a formal wine background. I don't, and I'm really about that. You know, I want wine to be something that you can get a connection to a place or a story, or indeed connect to us through it. Like it should be approachable. It shouldn't be intimidating. And I think he does it right.
Yeah, definitely. Like we've been talking about this a lot, and it's like wine, especially in this country, I think we've seen it. It's got a real sort of hierarchy thing to it in social circumstances, but it's made by farmers. It's like it shouldn't
be pretentious, right? It's
absolutely.
And I think sometimes the sommelier thing or the wine trade can be a bit of a gatekeeper to some very real people and their customer.
And our customer, you know, they've given us their night out. We owe it to them to just relax. You know, come and be at ease. Yes, try something different, but we're not going to start.
We're not going to fleece you.
No, and it's also, it really needs, you need to intuit the terms of our relationship. Like, is this person looking to hear more from me, or are they actually wanting to look into their lover's eyes, and do I need to give them the wine and back off?
Totally.
Get out.
Yeah,
that's right.
You know,
step away, back away.
Some people almost want you to have dinner with them, and I love that. You know, I'm all about it. that's the beauty of being in a restaurant. It's a very sociable place to work.
Yeah.
But others want to learn a little bit. They want the insight, and then they want you to go away.
Yeah. So, tell me a little bit more about the deli, because we'd experienced the charcuterie in the dining room, but did it come into its own with the deli, or was it sort of, because it felt like it did. It felt like suddenly there was this.
I mean, we'd been looking for a little, we wanted to do something. It had been, we were wanting to grow, and we'd been looking around town for sites because we'd developed the charcuterie program. Dariush had put that program in place, and he'd really started becoming quite experimental, but he'd also formalized the core lines, and we were looking for somewhere to expand, and we did look at a few places in town, to kind of open that next spot, and it really, we just realized that it was right in front of us, and actually we would solve the problem of the flow that we didn't really like, the tricky situation of how to be in two places at once, which we hadn't figured out how to do, the burden of a second rental, it was all just right there under one roof, and so we decided to redevelop Cazador and expand within it. And that allowed us to really sort of spotlight the charcuterie as part of the program there. So it had always had a presence on the menu right from when Dariush's dad was there. In fact, he used to, after every season, he'd do a big batch of venison salami, and all his mates would get one. It was just a friendly kind of tradition that he had, and that's actually what started Dariush's interest, and he learned that sort of.
And is that had Tony been doing that? Like, is that his dad taught him, his dad taught him, his dad taught him, or is that sort of?
I don't know where he learned it. A lot of his stuff was sort of self-taught, but I know he did. He did a lot of it back in the day. I mean, a lot of hunters did and still do, but he took it relatively serious. Like, they got semi-professional, him and another guy based out west, and I know they did a lot of trials, and I don't know what the intention was, but he figured out a few tricks then, and he produced it, like Bex said, for his mates, and a little bit for the restaurant here and there, and obviously having lived in Europe, we were exposed to some pretty good charcuterie, and I just sort of, again, part of that, like, just coming to terms with being in a different part of the world and having different ingredients. Most of the stuff that was being imported was just really low grade stuff, and I was really pissed off about it, to be honest. I was like, pancetta, it's like, it's the easiest thing to travel. It's built for travel, and yet the stuff we were getting was like greasy and just, had the wrong color, the wrong fat ratios, all sorts. And so it was through not being able to buy it that I thought, well, it can't be hard to make it. And I started reading on some bits and pieces, which there wasn't a lot of online, found myself in some pretty boring, chat rooms or whatever. And managed to, like, old shitty photos and, like, just not that great explanations. A lot of, stuff in Italian or other Eastern European languages. But anyway, figured out it wasn't that hard, and a bit of trial and error, and it didn't take much to get pancetta right. And then I started sort of questioning what the next easiest thing to make would be, and people suggested copper. Yeah. Neck muscle, cylindrical shape, pretty good ratio of sort of meat and muscles and sort of connective tissue. So it's a pretty nice cut. And so I thought, okay, we'll give that a go. And it came out reasonably well. So it just went from there. And then we used it in the restaurant, but there was never pressure to make it. We sort of made it when we had time to make it, and then we had it in abundance until we didn't, and then we quickly made more, and it was sort of like that. And it wasn't until we started getting close to the deli opening that I realized, man, I really need to get onto this. And forecasting was a nightmare because, some things, take 2 years. There was no way we were going to get that ready in time, but, minimum 4 months. So you got to pay for that on day, 14?
It's another terrifying thing about the lockdown. We'd already bought so much.
Yeah.
There was a lot curing. Like Dariush had his little curing project that he kept shooting over to check on, which got him out of the house almost daily. He was quite lucky to have that. But that was just, we were like, what?
Yeah.
And this was not what we planned for that. It was very tight.
Yeah.
But then the online thing, I think the sales on the cured meat went faster than I expected, because we'd only seen it in the restaurant and it was just sort of like add-on type stuff to your meal. Whereas here, people were ordering it for platters and stuff at their home with wine.
Which was exactly what a lot of people were really doing at home, right? The
Treat
sourdough
yourself,
bake
right?
and the charcuterie
true,
to go with the bread they just made, kind of thing.
Man.
Yeah.
So we got to real low stock levels very early and had to kick up production really quick, which again was scary in its own right. And so I don't know, I guess we just had to, like Bex said, formalize it a bit, stick to a few core lines and just really nail it, I suppose. We bought a new walk-in chiller and set up some systems so that you walk in and one side is ready, one side's 1 month, and then going around it's 2, 3, 4 months until it comes out the door again.
I mean, that's sort of, it's a bit it's similar to the wine industry, isn't it? That, by the time that bottle of wine lands in the bottle store, the wine grower, the viticulturist, the winemaker, they've paid for that. 10 times over, really. They've had to pay all the harvest staff. They've had to prune vines. They've had to, buy barrels. They've had, there's a hell of a lot of investment up front before that thing's released a long time afterwards. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then when you get feedback from the public, you've got to be able to go back and go, how did I do that one? Like, obviously,
an amazing one.
With winemaking, you've got weather, which you can't control, but
and yeasts. I mean, it's kind of a similar, but what's in the air around, how the temperatures, what's humidity like.
We share that one. So there was, I'm not saying too much, but people were selling their sort of curing chamber flora that was passed on from caves in the Po Valley and stuff like that. So that, you need some life in your chiller for it to be a flavorful batch of meat. So there was definite influence from those kind of magical elements that you probably can't be sure about reproducing.
Yeah, that's right. That's the beauty of it, right? That's
definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
It's a pretty fun. Yeah, it's a fun project. It's a very unique part of cooking. I still think about it like cooking, but it's a very unique one. It's very slow, and you sort of fly blind for a large part of it. But just lots of note taking at the start, and then a lot of finger crossing in the middle, basically. And just enjoy it while you got it.
Yeah. And another project that you guys or another addition to the sort of the Cazador offering, which it sort of seems left field, but it actually isn't, given the fact that there's a really great connection to Mexico. But you guys are hosted for the last, you started in 2019.
Mm-hmm. You were there.
I know. I felt very privileged to be in the guinea pig group doing my Cazador tour of Mexico. But so tell us about, how's that come about? What's the story with it? And aren't you guys busy enough?
Yeah, we're definitely busy enough. But we actually leave again next week. We're off on Friday.
Yeah, amazing.
We've got a group of 12 coming with us. And I think it started just because we travelled to Mexico a lot with Dariush's mother having grown up there, and he was drawn to it. The first time we went there was on the way,
I think, back from the UK when we were moving home.
And we
met my aunt there.
You've met Susie. She's just truly intoxicating person.
Yeah, she's a total
She draws you in, and she's an anthropologist. She's larger than life. She's thrilling company. And one of our visits later, we've been many times since then, she said, you've got to, you guys have just got to bring some people over here and make it part of work. And I don't know, she said that. And then
I think she was just trying to suggest that there might be a way we could pay for our trip there through the business.
Right. She just wants, she wants to see you more. Yeah, totally.
And, but she's not shy of jumping in some serious deep ends. So she wasn't phased at all when we said, okay, sweet, let's do it. And I think we had 16 people in the first one, didn't we?
No, fewer than with our family, because we had our family with us as well.
That's right.
No, and since then it's just, every time we put it out to our newsletter subscribers, enough people fill the trip and enough to fill a second one. So the second trip we then open for later in the year, and then that one's sold, and then
it's all word of mouth. I don't think we've ever properly advertised it.
I don't think so. And it's such a rush. It's so fun.
It really is. I mean, it's one of the dreamiest holidays I've ever had. Just there's one element which again is the translation of Cazador into a trip, which is, I didn't have to think of anything. Everything just kind of, the service element of it was just the dreamiest part of that for me. In the first instance, it was just like, this is going to be so great. It just matters
to us so much that people love it, that we really just wanted to make sure that everyone has
but
a really
good
time.
It's your natural talent for just being, in service of making sure everyone's catered for and looked after. I mean, literally not. I remember on the plane coming home thinking, fuck, I didn't even have to think about what time I got up for breakfast or what I was having for breakfast or what I was wearing that day, because Bex would say, right, so tomorrow we'll see you at the breakfast table at 8:30. There's going to be 3 Mexican chefs come in. They're going to cook us this. We're going to have breakfast tacos. The temperature's going to be about this. We're going to be doing that. So wear this, bring water, wear a hat, don't forget your camera. And, we'll see you at 8:30 at the breakfast table.
I need that every day.
I mean, hello.
Can be arranged.
Yeah, for a small fee. Yeah. But it literally, I mean, that alone, and then on top of it was Tia Susie's sort of incredible first impression. The first day was with Susie.
She's so proud of Mexico. She just wants people to experience its richness, and she's such a advocate for the indigenous cultures there, and she has no time for like touristica level engagement. She wants you to get deep in it quickly. You are here, get in there. She'll like push you up to talk to the person in the market, and you will try what they are offering you, and yes, eat that bug. And she just kind of buoys you with confidence to do these things that you'd otherwise find challenging. And we, as people who just appreciate traveling so much and have been to some fairly intrepid spots ourselves, we're just so at ease there with her. And it's such a buzz to take people who, I think people come with us who might not ordinarily have the confidence to go there.
Yeah.
They're keen and they're up for it, but it's just a place that is a bit unknown. And also navigating what and where to eat in Mexico City, which is the most vast, incredible place, I think, on earth to dine. It has every base covered. If you want to have a fine dining experience akin to none other, it is there, and it's superb. If you want to have a street stall, $3 US kind of meal, you can have it and it will just blow your mind. And everything in between, a cantina, natural wine bar, like nightclub, bloody lucha libre wrestling, followed by a champagne brunch. You can have anything your heart desires in Mexico City, but where to start? And I think that's where we come in. We've kind of curated this experience which lets you weave in and out of the different options available to you there, with hopefully, if we get everything right, no misses.
I also think too, and I can only speak personally, and it's a gap in my education clearly, but I mean my understanding of Mexico before we got there, it wasn't really about food. I sort of had this kind of very, base impression that it's probably, it's beans and rice and some other stuff that's and maybe some really yummy mezcal. But even that was quite new to me still. It was sort of, when you get there, and I mean, I still haven't had a lime like the limes, and in the capacity of availability, it's like,
man, you want to think about produce. There is nowhere like Oaxaca.
Yeah,
it is it's abundant. It's verdant and green at one end of the state, and like bone dry Crispin at the other. It's got it's endless sunshine. It has humidity. You can grow anything in that state, but I don't even think we've scratched the surface of the variety of different ingredients there to cook with and to create textures.
Yeah,
and
it was insane.
It's bonkers. It's so exciting.
And also too, what I really valued, which like I was saying, sort of getting onto I was just sort of stepping onto the learning of mezcal and tequila and what sets them apart and what makes them amazing, and getting that sort of experience with you guys at the mezcali. Thanks, Pete. Pete's just filling up my glass with this delicious wine. We've been eating some pretty delicious. We'll have to go through the food again too, by the way. But I think that so actually going to the mezcalis, seeing the nursery, understanding that process of, I mean, holy shit, like understanding how long that agave was going to take to even develop close to being big enough and old enough to replant up in the mountains to then sit for another 20 years before they then harvested what was 300 kilo, weighing piñas.
Long-term planner. You think charcuterie takes a while?
How the fuck? Who discovered it? Who worked that shit out in the first place?
Yeah.
But it was my first experience with a beverage that kind of felt like it had the misunderstanding, like it's like, oh God.
This is a drink that we weren't supposed to drink it.
It's mystical. It's not for us.
This was
it's actually
for high priests to have visions. Yeah. And that's it. That was all it was for. It was never supposed to touch the lips of us mortals. They harvest that plant, which if they'd left it or missed it, it would shoot this massive sort of stem way up, like meters and meters and meters into the air. But they harvest it just before it does that, so that all that, potential energy is then distilled and put into a glass, which it wouldn't have been a glass, but a gourd or something that the high priest drinks.
Clay pot.
Gets his absolute mad visions. The reason we're able to drink it is because the Spaniards came along and said, you know what, if you guys give us gold or show us where it is, we'll allow you to, we'll talk to the gods and make sure that you can drink this drink. Oh. So, thank God for that sleight of hand, like that cheeky little deal. Actually, we've benefited from that. So, and it's fascinating because, really good mezcal or tequila for that matter, I've personally tested this out a few times. You can drink half a bottle and you're not drunk. You're definitely something. Yeah. But you're not messy and you're not drunk. But this is the good stuff, It's a different high. It's not drunk.
Yeah. It's some kind of elixir in some way.
It's very, very magical.
The woman was looking me dead in the eye, telling me, you should have a little sip of this when you're in labour. I'm not sure that would be acceptable.
That's
but
right.
Thank you for your advice.
I would take it.
Yeah.
Well, I do remember actually that the one little moment where I thought I might be in for a bit of a quick ride to the bathroom when I was in Mexico, which is thankfully no one had that experience, but I definitely had a wee moment where I thought, I might be the first to go down. And I remember you saying, just have a wee nudge of mezcal, a nice, good, clean mezcal. And I was very apprehensive. It was like, oh man, that is not what I feel like right now.
Yeah.
But I just sat on a nice wee, those little, I think we all came home with those really great little, what are they called?
Little
candle holders, little cups.
Yeah. They're so great. And that the just sitting on those with, sort of like a wee sort of like just one shot, no shots as in
exactly
the New Zealand understanding of a shot.
Yeah.
But a shot-sized glass and just sipping on it, like sort of almost just wetting your lips.
Totally.
I can sit on a little copper for like 45 minutes.
Yeah. And it was, I came right. Like, it was like, Christ, I'm good to go.
Well, they say you kiss your tequila. You don't drink it. You just little kisses.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, we in my family, we if we have brunch on a Sunday, all as a family, someone will bring out a bottle of mezcal and we'll have a couple of rounds of mezcal at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
And it's fine. Like I say, it's not a.
No one's getting leery or
no one's dancing on the table.
Yeah. It's not the point, is it? I mean, that is a big part of it too. I mean, that's the same with the wine we're drinking now. I mean, you could have that. That'd go pretty well with
All right.
Like 10 a.m. on a Sunday.
Yeah. Well, it's got that savoury.
That's right. And freshness. There's sort of that saline is met with fresh acid and
now that it's pulled up there, all that apple.
Yeah.
Leaping out now. It's really
Hey, and just while we're here, so what were we? Because that was bloody delicious. What was that?
Food wise, so I just had to open that little jar of rabbit rillette. So rabbit and tarragon.
Yeah, delicious.
I had that actually just 2 days ago in a freezing cold mai duck hunting.
Oh yeah.
And we had a little gas burner, so I cooked some sourdough. And then spread the rillette on thick, and oh my god, I had to bring one today.
Yeah,
so good, man. Rabbit.
Pretty she hunting food there.
Oh man, well, that's a little secret. Is that?
Did you have mezcal in your hip flask?
I had it in my bag, and I didn't quite get there because I needed to be careful. But it's a little known secret that I think a lot of duck hunters are actually real keen cooks. In a manly way, of course,
Of course.
But, I used to have these like crack up moments where it was just always a degustation, and it was like you probably eat about 15 different things and they're all like, oh yeah, he knows how to make mussels like no one else. And it's just actually awesome. The best mussel I ever had was in a mai, and it was beer battered, deep fried, but there's like malt vinegar in the batter and stuff, and it was just perfect. I tried to put it on the menu, but Bex wouldn't let me. I think I got it on a canapé for an event or something, but it made its way onto the menu.
I quite like the sound of that. I think maybe we should pull off like a
my degustation. I've been thinking about it for years.
A dish.
Welcome to
my rejects, though. That all the dishes are.
True. Oh my god.
It's a whole other restaurant.
Yeah. Look, I'm the advocate for the guests.
It's called the cut.
Speaking of a whole nother restaurant, this might become part of the conversation that you guys don't want to talk about, because it might be daunting, or maybe it might sort of reiterate the fact that you guys are bananas. But do you want to tell us about that other restaurant thing that might be happening?
Yeah, well, there is a project in the works.
Yeah.
I'd love to tell you the name of it, but I don't know it yet. It took us 5 weeks to name our first child. Our first real baby.
Yeah. 5 weeks of her being alive.
Of her being
No
born.
name.
Of baby being around.
What did you come up with?
Her name is Azar, which is his grandmother's name.
Oh, it's beautiful.
But she was just the baby for a long time.
To the point where we got a letter saying your baby will be named this if you don't choose a name.
You have to name her. They actually fine you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they fine you if
like
you don't name your baby.
No.
Yeah, I think they allocate a saint's name.
No, I don't.
Something weird. Anyway.
But it was actually an alright name. I can't remember what. I was like, well, that's
put that in the mix.
Yep, that's there as the backstop.
So we haven't named the new project, but we have signed the purchase agreement. So
so it's happening.
It's happening, and I guess for us, it's a chance to test out those ideas we had all those years ago about what we would do if we didn't have a legacy.
Yeah,
if we were stepping out.
It's a blank canvas a little bit for you guys.
Yeah. So it's allowing us to, now that Cazador is I think in a really great spot. It's got such a good team, and we have no intention of leaving Cazador, but we've proven in the past 5 years, I suppose, with growing the deli and overseeing both sides of that, and also having a family in that same period of 5 years, that we can.
Yes, because Azar has an Anya, which is a younger version. Yeah.
So there's space for us to be more creative now and know that Cazador is settled. And so, we're going to see what happens when we turn the key on a new site and, fire up a different kitchen. So, watch this space.
Any clues on where?
Ponsonby.
Cool.
So, right. So I'm really excited about the fact that, I think what we are at Cazador.
You can't see this. He's rubbing his knees nervously.
what we are at Cazador, what we've been good at is building a community of people that are trust in us to give them these dining experiences, which are, like we were saying, it's more than the food, it's more than the wine, it's more than the music, than the atmosphere, all of that. It's everything together. And I'm really excited. We're at the far end of Dominion Road in the suburbs, and we've always been, sort of that's been a strength and a weakness at different times. But I'm really excited about being in a place with a bit more exposure, and
a place where people might just call in, unexpectedly. We meet new people and
totally, and to build a new community, around that site, around a more central site. Like I think we all agreed that whatever we took from overseas, it was the idea of being a place that where there is a value in being a regular customer. And I think again that was lacking in Auckland when we came back, where
everybody's
there was
chasing that new opening.
And that no one's to blame for that. That is the way that that this is all fed to people, and it's really exciting to go and check all the new things, and because perhaps there wasn't enough emphasis on the value of being a regular, and that was something we've always driven home because we inherited that culture with Cazador. But I'm like, and I think other people are doing that as well, really well, and so I'm really excited about doing that in a completely different part of Auckland. With hopefully a whole bunch of new faces as well. People there's still so many people that have never heard of Cazador, and that's just really exciting to me.
But it will be a total departure from Cazador. It's
well, you can't reproduce Cazador,
and there is only one, and we're we feel such a fondness for that restaurant. It's kind of more than us. It's not really, in a way, it doesn't even feel like it's our restaurant. Of course, we're shepherding it through its journey, but it is what it is, and it sort of belongs to all of the people that frequent it. It belongs to your family and our team. Everybody's got a stake in it, and not to say we want to be possessive over the new site, but it's a opportunity to just be experimental and be fresh and try something that we couldn't do with the legacy that we have at Cazador. So we're just going to give it a nudge.
But with 12 years of lessons.
That's right. Hopefully we've made all the mistakes you can make already. But
I also think from a customer point of view too, that familiarity of a place that you like to go, that sort of, we are creatures of habit. It's like they reckon that even on Spotify, when the algorithm throws you new tunes to listen to, the tunes you choose to continue to listen to are actually very similar to tunes that you have been listening to for almost most of your life. Like we never actually really
just like
get to
what you
new
like,
music.
right?
Yeah, and what turns out as it happens is the stuff that you think is new music actually sounds so similar to the shit you were listening to when you were 18. Because that's what we know we like. It's what it was formative. It was during a period of our life.
You just gravitate towards something that makes you feel at home.
And that's like the food kind of thing. It's sort of like, it's like, Seabreeze is a local cafe for me when I'm in Auckland, and Brody knows it's me out the front when he gets an order for scrambled eggs with one slice of gluten-free. He's like, that's got to be more out the front, man, because that's what she gets every time she comes. and it's like, just hit me with it, man. It's what I'm here for. Like that's what I'm here for.
It's ritual as well, isn't it?
It is ritual.
Yeah, and there's something in that. That's again, beautiful. It's like sort of not having to make the decision. It's kind of like that takes the it's a sort of a mother's hug.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, this feels familiar. I really know I love it, and it's going to nourish and do all the things I need it to do without any of the apprehension of the unknown of what if it's not going to deliver. And so having that place that does have that good local foot trade. I mean, you guys will be seeing that with the deli though, right, too? Like, you'll be getting that.
So the deli is interesting because it is weekday trade is very consistent. It's the same regulars almost daily, which is just it's so great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But then weekend people kind of come, they really want to try the pies. They're super interested in the charcuterie, and so they travel. It's really interesting. They have a different kind of pace when they're in there, and you kind of like, oh, I see, this is not a local. Like, let's check in, let's see what's brought them to Cazador. And it's definitely quite unique. Whereas I think in Ponsonby you've got a lot of, there's so much business happening around there, but there's a lot of creative activity too. There's media there with stuff. There's Warner Brothers at the other end. There's object space. There's
galleries here. That's right.
There's recording studios nearby, and there's a lot of residential as well. So it's a really cool mix. There's, of course, all the retail stuff, not to mention other hospo. Like, we have a lot of, Dominion Road is an incredible street to dine on. But, wine culture is quietly coming along the street, but it's not really there in a big way. Whereas I think Ponsonby will be, in good company there. I think if we want to play with the wine list in the way that we enjoy, inviting people to try different wines, I think.
It's probably the main street in Auckland where I would find myself diving in and out of more than a few places. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. That sort of K Road, Ponsonby little corner is, I gravitate there as a consumer as well. So, we always have done. I mean, right since we were first working at Cazador, our mates all worked at Prego. So, it was just...
Go to Mea Culpa for drinks after work.
Yeah. And just spend, half our life on Ponsonby Road, so it makes sense to hopefully spend the next half our life working there.
Well, guys, it's been what a pleasure. We've been trying to do this for a wee while, sit down, but I tell you what, we've sat down with all the right stuff in front of us, because I'm getting to the point where it's like, I'm sort of like, let's end this podcast so we can just start eating.
Clink some knives.
Yeah, that's right. But listen, good luck with the new venture.
Thanks, Morv.
And congratulations on what is undoubtedly one of the true fixtures in the Auckland dining scene. Tony and Barbara must be stoked with seeing how you guys have carried the mantle, and it's certainly delivering a shitload for the neighbourhood and the greater, food community. I certainly know a lot of the wine community that I spend a lot of time talking to. It's a high on their priority list for when they come to the city. So, you're doing something right for a broad, nice community there. So, and just lovely to hear a bit more of the story, and we'll keep an eye on you guys when we drop by somewhere on Ponsonby Road at some stage soon.
Wow.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having us.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks.
Cheers. Thanks so much for listening to this Not Serious Wine Chat. We hope you enjoyed it. Not Serious Wine Chats is brought to you by Tradecraft, with the support of the three amigos behind By the Bottle and those good people at Antipodes Water Company. Thanks everyone for tuning in and for your ongoing support.